Hello, and thank you again for joining us for another segment of Camera On with Authors Inside. Today I have a guest that's have lived experience, and he's about to drop some nuggets on us. This is my first time meeting him as well. But before we get
Yes,
started, if you can hit the like button and subscribe to get notification to receive more content like this. So let's get right to it. Hello, how you doing, man?
I'm good in yourself, sir.
Introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Thornton Withers.
Doris and Witters, man. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you,
Yes,
man.
sir. Same here. Same here.
Can you share with our viewers how long you was incarcerated?
Well, the first time I was incarcerated was from 1996 to 2000, from age 18 to 22. The second time I was incarcerated, I came in at the age of 24 and did 19 years and 10 months, was released in March 4th of 2022 after doing 19 years and 10 months on a 30 years of life sentence as a three striker.
Man, yeah,
So altogether, I'm 45 years old, and altogether, I just served over 25 years of incarceration, unfortunately, between the juvenile system and the adult system.
man. Okay, man, that's a long time. Can you share with us a little
Yes.
bit about your? Can you share with us a little bit about your personal journey and how that journey shaped your outlook on life today?
My personal journey, it was rough. I did not have it easy coming up through the juvenile system or the adult system, because I always been like a well, like, rounded, respectful person, I would say. Like, I was raised with like manners and to treat others how I would expect to be treated, by being kind to them and being open hearted to people. And a lot of times that got me in a lot of trouble in prison, because
Yeah,
by me being from Watts, people always expected, this dude from Watts, like, he gonna be rough. He from Grave Street. He got that Grave Street rough about himself. And when you meet me, it's not that at all. I'm telling you, thank you, excuse me, and things like that. And when I first entered the prison system, I never even like used profanity at the time. Like,
yeah,
so me coming in, it was a lot of people tried to take advantage of that. And only way I got them to understand that I'm really from Watts, like, I really was raised up in those streets over there, up and down 103rd and Grape Street and Wimbledon and all that, was acting the same way they expected for me to act. And that was with violence and roughness and everything. So
yeah,
it caused more of a strain on me, just trying to do my time in peace. It caused me to have to act out the way I didn't want to act. So it was
yeah,
rough on me and caused me to do more time than I actually should have been doing.
yeah, yeah. Now, can you share with us what was your mentality like while you was incarcerated?
I carried on the same thing that got me incarcerated. I continued that same behavior into my incarceration. I still came in with the gang banging mentality that I ain't giving up no shorts, I ain't giving up no passes or anything. So
Okay,
I kept that same mentality until finally a light switch hit me, like, no, you got to switch it up. If you want to get up out of here, you have to change your thinking and change your behavior. And into my life sentences, it took me 7 years for that light to finally go on.
yeah. And
The first seven
speaking of that light, when it finally went on, what caused that light to come on? What did any special event happen for it to come on, or it just
um
came on by
it was
itself?
actually it was actually a guy. I was in Sentinel on the A yard, and a guy named Bosco, he challenged me to come over to a group called Cage Your Rage. And at the time, I was like, man, I ain't taking no groups. I ain't doing none of that. Like, I'm thugging. Like, this me right here. And
Yeah,
he challenged me to come over to Cage Your Rage. He's like, man, you need to come over to anger management and Cage Your Rage. And this, I say, for what? That shit ain't gonna change nothing and this and that or whatever. And I went in there and I sat in that class, and I immediately start opening up and hearing the people's stories. And I learned that it don't matter if you white, Asian, Mexican, we all going through something. And once
yeah,
I start hearing the people's stories and I was able to identify with them and everything, I never stopped going. And then I ended up becoming a facilitator for that class. And then it just carried on, and it became like my daily habits of how I started to conduct myself. And then once
yeah.
I end up going to the hole on the A yard for a fight, and they released me off to the D yard. And once I was released off to the D yard, it was like my whole mentality, my whole way of thinking, I changed my whole program up. and
No,
never looked
no,
back. From there, it was
no.
all about, even though from the moment I went to prison in 2002, I already had told myself, I'm not finna do this life sentence. Like, this life sentence is not something I'm finna carry out. I can't see myself doing 30 years of life. So, of course, I was going through the court system and everything, filing appeals and things like that, trying to get out and everything. But it was that when that light went on, it was like, no, you can't just file an appeal and think you're gonna get up out of here. You got to change everything about yourself, because if you go home with that same thinking, you're gonna be right back in here. So once I got to that D yard, that's when everything just started changing, my mentality and everything. And I started focusing on more of not only getting out of prison, but changing and getting out of prison.
And something to go along with that, I saw an interesting quote the other day. It says, "Freedom don't start the day you walk out of prison. Freedom starts the day you walk away from ignorance."
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's
yeah.
exactly what I did.
Now, I heard you mention Grape Street and gang stuff. So, what got you? How long you was in a gang, and what got you into the gang life?
Well, I grew up because I have like what, four older brothers, cousins. Everyone was involved in the gang life growing up in the 80s. Like, I was surrounded by gang members and everything. Like, my household was like, it basically functioned on gang activity, drug selling, and things like that. So I grew up in a criminal lifestyle, but I never wanted to be a part of the gang stuff because I have a brother named Tommy. He's resting in peace. He was murdered in 1987. He instilled in me way back then, you not finna be a part of this gang life. Like, this is not for you. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. And once he was murdered in 1987, it was like that authority that I had over me, telling me not to gang bang
Mhm,
thing, was
mhm.
taken away from me. So fast forward to like 1991, when I end up getting into going to Markham Junior High School. That school in Watts, you have basically, it's in the middle between the Crips and the Bloods. So when I got there in the sixth grade in 1990, take that back, 1990, people were on me like, "Hey, where you from?" "Oh, I don't gang bang." "Well, where you live at?" "Oh, I live on the other side of the train track." "Oh, well, you a crab did." It was like,
Mm,
well, I ain't no crab, but if you want to get out, like, we could get out. So eventually I started getting into so many fights with guys from the Nickerson Gardens and the and Imperial Courts and things, that it drew attention of all the Gracie, which all the Gracie was already aware who I was, because I've been around these guys since preschool, kindergarten. So they was already aware, oh, that story, he on gang bang, but he with the business or whatever. And once they seen me fighting with the dudes from the Nickerson and Imperial Courts, everything, of course, now they like, well, now we need you to go and come on home and get put on the hood and this and that or whatever. And that's how I got drew in, just
okay.
by going to a junior high where it was populated with Bloods and Crips. And just because I lived on the Crip side, I had to fight dudes on the Blood side.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That gang life kid is rough, and then it goes there. It goes like that sometimes.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
can you share with our viewers what was the most traumatic things you saw in prison?
The most traumatic thing I seen in prison was a lot of brutality. People getting brutalized, stabbed, beat, and things like that. Getting just advantage, getting taken advantage of. I even witnessed guys molesting other grown men, filling on them, trying to climb into bed with them. All that stuff was traumatic to me. To
Yeah.
know that it's actually, and this was just the first time when I went to prison at 19 years old. I was in Chuckawalla at the time, and this 1997, and dudes is climbing into bed with other dudes trying to molest them and things like that.
Yeah.
And then when I came back on my second term life sentence, now I'm in Centinela and I'm seeing dudes get their throat cut in their sleep, just brutal, just brutality all the way around. And it became a norm where now it's not none of your business. So literally, you're just stepping over somebody while he might be laying on the ground, busted up, bleeding or something.
Yeah.
I had to become numb to all of that and not care for my fellow human being.
Yeah. The reason I asked you that question because here on Cameroon, we like to give the raw, ugly truth to these youngsters
Yeah,
who's watching who might think gangs is cool or prison is
no,
cool. We want to let them know what's really waiting for them if they don't get right. You know.
exactly,
So thank you for
exactly.
sharing. Thank you for sharing your raw, ugly truth.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this: how long you been out?
For 17 months now, enjoying
17 months now.
it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Congratulations,
sir.
man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Now, if I were to ask you what type of techniques or approaches to engage these youngsters, what would be your answer? What would you say is the best way to engage these youngsters these days?
What I try to do is get them one on one, not inside of a group setting or anything like that. I try to get the one that I know has like basically the mouthpiece and the influence and everything, and try to see what's his likes and dislikes and see where can I connect with him on. Even if I
Hmm.
got to get him in the car with me, hey man, take a ride with me real quick to the store or something, and just
Yeah.
engage with him and talk to him and find out what's going on with him, see what concerns him, and try to give
Yeah.
him some type of insight on how he can deal with a situation. He might tell me about a situation that's going on in his personal life where it's money or something in the streets or something. And I just try to engage with him and let him know my experiences and tell him you have an option. Might be a better route if you choose this route right here.
Definitely.
So I'm
Nice. Nice.
always trying to get to know what's going on in their personal life. Because you
Yeah.
got a lot of OGs that be like, oh, these young cats don't want to listen and this and that. Yes, they will. You just got to
Yeah.
be on your game and show them that you ain't out here on no foolishness, and it's a good chance they're gonna listen to you.
Right. 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 Cool. So if you had a message for someone, maybe boy or girl, who's hanging around with the
Mhm.
wrong crowd, messing with drugs, not
Mhm.
listening to their parents, what would that message be to that youngster?
I'm telling them right now. At the end of the day, your parents know best. If you ain't got no parent that's out there on drugs and running around, you got a parent that's caring about you and trying to pull you away from the gangs and drugs and things like that. Listen to your parent. Because at the end of the day, it's only two things gonna happen: either death or prison. If you're
Yeah,
gonna be in the streets trying to gang bang, use drugs, that's where you're gonna end up at, either in prison or dead somewhere. And when
definitely.
you're young with no type of record or anything, the world is your oyster. The world is open to you. Take
Yeah,
advantage of that because there's so many of us that wish we grew up without records and things like that and never been incarcerated. And once we in our 30s and 40s fighting our way back out of prison, wishing we can go back to 14, 15 years old, be like, damn, I wish I could change that.
yeah, yeah. Real talk, real talk.
Mhm.
What do you do? What do you do for a living now? What do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm doing stagehand work, working in venues, doing concerts and corporate events, like setting up as a lighting technician, audio technician. I do carpentry. I do it all. Whatever the job called me for, I'm there doing it.
That's cool, cool, cool. Congratulations on your freedom, man, and I wish you
Yeah, and
continued
I was saying,
success.
and just to piggyback off that, I went into that job not knowing anything. I learned everything on the spot.
Yeah,
That's lighting technician, audio technician, carpentry, everything.
man.
Learned it on the spot. And I'm still learning. Every time I go on a job, I'm learning something new every time. So I'm
Cool.
enjoying it.
Yeah. What would you say since you've been out? Your biggest obstacle and challenges?
My biggest obstacle challenge is having patience, not being in a rush to get my finances up and things like that.
Yeah,
When you know people around me is study like people that don't mean me no good that's trying to reach out to me and tell me like, man, you supposed to be in a big body, you supposed to be doing this, you supposed to be out here in the hood, and I gotta ignore all that. Yeah, it look
yeah,
good. Yeah, yeah. You might be in a Maserati. You might have this. You might have that. But what are you doing to get those things? What are the risks that you're taking to get those things? I can't
definitely.
jeopardize my freedom or my family or anything for those little material things that you got.
Yeah, yeah. You sound like you grew up, man. You sound like you
Yeah,
grew up.
That's one of the. And trust me, it's always somebody trying to entice me
Yeah,
with something that can eventually put me back in prison again with another life sentence.
definitely. Okay, definitely. And I want to
Yes.
thank you for sharing. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Oh man, just tell everybody, look, man, enjoy life while you can. Because when you lose it, you're gonna be sitting back thinking, man, I regret everything I didn't every time I didn't listen. So when your parents or OG or anybody giving you some game and they taking their time out to give you some game, take advantage of it. I don't care if it's coming from a wino or a CEO. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. If somebody giving you some game and some knowledge, take some from it and incorporate it into your daily life and put your own spin on it. Don't
Well
turn
said.
nobody away because you never know who your angel is that you turn away.
Well said. Let me ask you this: what helps you get through the day? What's your anchor? What helps you get through the day?
My wife.
Okay.
I got a no nonsense wife that stay on me.
Okay.
I got
Good.
married.
Good.
I got married to one of my childhood friends 90 days after getting out of prison. And
Okay.
she
Exactly.
been on me for 17 months. If I'm slipping in any area, she's quick to grab me and let me know that I'm slipping and pull me back in because I'm not perfect. I
Yeah. Oh
get in
yeah.
those
Definitely.
moments. I get in those moments where, man, fuck all this, man. I'm doing this right here. And
Yeah.
she quick to, man, look, if you're gonna do all that, like we out there, like this over with. And I
Yeah.
say, hold on. Do I want to be back out there 45 years old, running the streets, dating and all that shit? Or do I want to be at home with my wife? I choose to be at home with my wife. So I
Definitely.
get my
Definitely.
act together fast.
Yeah. Good. Good choice.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Thank you so much, man. If you ever feel the need, want to come back, man, just give me a holler, man, and we'll make
I
that happen.
sure will. I sure
Man,
will. Thank you. I appreciate it.
for sure, man.
All right.
Have a
Have a
good
good
one.
day. Yes,
Camera
sir.
off.